You're good. All right. I see us live on YouTube, and I'm guessing Twitch is right behind it. I am really, really excited for this one. We've been trying to get a cool guest for episode 100. And
But you got me.
to say that we got a cool guest for episode 100, I think puts it a little bit low on that list, man. You are absolutely amazing. This is Frank from Frankly Built. Frank,
Thank you.
I don't think I can do an intro justice for you, so I'm going to ask you the things that I always ask. I want the Backstreet Boys out of you. The who you are, the where you from, the what you did, and as long as you love me.
Well, you got to take me on at least 2 dates for the love you part.
Okay.
But no,
well,
thank you for that. Thank you. Yeah. Who am I? I'm Frank. I am nerd. Me like nerd stuff, and that led me into the rabbit hole of 3D printing because though you can make a lot of things a lot of ways, printing I don't want to say seemed easier, but it seemed easier. Like, all right, this is technology I can get behind. I have a mechanical background. I like working with my hands, and the machines were cheap-ish. So yeah, here we are. But
cheap-ish is an understatement for some of those machines, right? I mean, they are so affordable.
It was a race to the bottom. Creality hit it, and now it's a race back up.
What are your feelings there about, the race to the bottom, and then now that it's coming back up?
That was it, right? We watched that the last, I think I got in right. I snuck in right as they were climbing down. Everybody was trying to make the best, worst machine, cheapest possible. The Ender 3 came out, the CR10 came out. Creality ran Kickstarters that they had no right running because they're $1 million company. But hey, that's another podcast.
We've talked about that more than once.
I'm sure. And I think it was great. Somebody had to do it. And honestly, you say what you want about Creality, but I mean, if you get them to work, they work. They're cheap. They're the Hyundais and Kias of 3D printers, where they're not that bad. And it forced everybody else to innovate. It really did.
I totally agree here. I looked at an Ender 3 V2 that I bought on an Amazon special for $165 and said,
give me a break.
This is not a printer that I will run as part of my business because it requires too much finagling. But if I had spare time, what is that? And I didn't mind messing around and learning.
Yeah.
Even at the full price of like $280, this printer punches way above its weight class.
I'll get more into the other aspects of it, but this faceplate, for anybody who's can actually see this, it's an inner detail Ironman faceplate made by, this is Walsh 3Ds, not Vex. This is an out-of-box print on a Mingda Magician X, Magician Max or Magician X. I built the printer, sliced this in Cura, how to make my own profile off of the Mingda D2 because they didn't have this yet, changed the size and sent this. That printer's what, $300-400? The reason people weren't doing details like this a few years ago is because the amount of calibration you need to do to your printer just to get quality like this wasn't worth it. It's like, I don't need the details on the faceplate, I just want the front. Now you can get the back for the same price, That's ridiculous. I love this tech. It's in its quantum leap right now, and oh boy,
we've certainly seen it. So, what is your background? Like, how did you find yourself into the 3D printing industry?
It's standing behind me right here in bright red and gold.
Right.
So I don't know. I wanted an Ironman suit. I mean, that was literally I've said it before a few times. That was it. That was the catalyst. Grew up loving Marvel. And after seeing Endgame, I was an adult. I had adult money. I was looking at myself in the mirror yeah. And I saw the Mark 85 at Endgame, and I'm like, I want an Iron Man suit. How do people do this? People do this. How do they do it? And I started looking into Papercraft, Pepicura, EVA foam. I tried Papercraft. I was not good at Papercraft. I threw that out immediately. Godspeed to those people. And I landed on printing a CR10S. It was like $500 on Amazon. And every time I typed in, 3D printing cosplay, 3D printing That printer kept coming up because Creality had made it to a large format printer that was under, sub $1,000,
Yeah.
$500,
And
and
what
I
year was
got
that?
that was in 2019. That
Okay.
was July of 2019. I bought my first 3D printer, and it was the there was it was the it was the it was free candy on the side of the van. It was a door that said open for a good time, and that was the Ironman suit. And what I didn't realize is once I opened that door, it's like, oh, I can also make that keyblade. I've always wanted to make a Buster sword. Oh, you know what? I can make Captain America's shield. And it just didn't stop. It just was this uncorking of, oh man, I don't have to buy this crap anymore. I couldn't even afford this crap before anyway. But
Right.
now I can make it. I can just make it. Okay, let's do that.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're here.
I feel that. It's somewhat similar for me, right? I started back in 2008. So I've been doing it quite a bit longer. But
OG.
the technology at the time was you built it yourself, right? I used a MakerBot Thing-O-Matic, which is a wood 3D printer. It's all made of wood.
I've seen those.
Except I live in Florida. And you would have to have separate calibrations for it for when it was damp versus when it was dry. And that was actually my first belt printer, which I always laugh at because belt printers have been around for a lot longer than people think. Yes. They just really sucked back then. Now they're only marginally better.
Yeah.
I just got a CR30 used, and it's going to need some work.
Right there. I have a CR30 that's been sitting here, figuring out those slicer settings. Good Lord.
Dude, I don't know if are you connected with Pooch to get all the upgrades? Because that's like, I'm like, Pooch, I want you to put together a list of things that I need to buy. Give yourself some margin in that, and then send it to me.
I've never spoken with Pooch. I hear a lot about him. I hear a lot about him.
He's the belt whisperer, the absolute belt whisperer.
Gotcha. I will keep that in mind.
Yeah. He would be the guy that I would talk to. But I know you from your cosplays as well, because I looked at that and said, well, damn. That's pretty amazing, because you're not just printing and assembling. You're finishing, you're painting, you're doing all the electronic work. You're putting more into it than just the printing aspect of it.
Exactly. It's a tool. And where I think there's two sides of the hobby. No, there's probably more. I don't know. There's the people who are into 3D printing.
Yeah.
And I think that would be more on your side of it. That'd be more on Joel's side of it. Teaching tech, like that. Here's the printer. Here's the technology. Here's how it's advancing. Here's how you get the most out of it. Upgrades, refinements, quirks, Q&As. And then there's the other side of the hobby where people use them as a tool. They're not like, I like printing, but if it prints good enough, quality of life, just to make them a little bit more reliable. I'm not looking for the fastest print, I'm not looking for the best quality because I'm going to sand it, or you're never going to see that part, So I think there's two different corners of it where if I was to talk to somebody who was like really into printing and they'd be like, well, did you do this, all these E-steps, and did you do this? You should get clipper and you should do this and you should do that. And why are you still using the stock hot end? And you should upgrade the power supply and you need and I'd be looking at them like, but it works. Yeah. So I think there's two different sides of it, and neither are wrong at all. It's just where you want to go with it. I use it as a tool because when I wanted to make that Ironman suit, everything I had done up into my life, I grew up building, toy models and Legos and painting models and working on cars. And I went to school for like automotive customization, security systems, audio systems. I had everything I needed to paint a wire. I knew I could figure it out. I just needed a canvas. I needed
right.
the thing to paint and fit and wear and do the electronics. And that's what printing let me do. It was, all right, here's print the part. Now go,
Right.
I love that. I love that so much.
Yeah, that's a big thing, right? Just the ability to just click print and go. So
careful there.
It is definitely getting better, and I'm dealing with a little bit of internet issues, so I apologize for those that are having issues. You and I are totally fine, but it is streaming outward that seems to be having just some small problems, but hopefully we'll get those resolved relatively soon. Ultimately, I think 3D printing is a tool. I think there's a business to it. How did you end up taking it from a hobby to a business? Because you definitely do some business side of this thing too, right?
Yeah, I got out of hand quick. There's no other really way around that,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately. It it just turned into this. It just turned into this. All right, I have a printer. Cool, let's
Mm-hmm.
get two printers. I found one used. Start just try to print the suit quicker. That was it. Let me get two printers, print it twice as quick. And then I can print some stuff on the side, sell it to some friends. I see people selling stuff online. Like, let's try that out. So I started selling some helmets. I started finishing some helmets. As I would learn and practice, I'd finish a helmet and I don't need this helmet. I learned some stuff on it. So let's sell this, make another one. And big apology to the person who bought that first Mark 50 helmet I sold. I am so sorry. It was so bad. Uh, oops. And then I started getting, I think I got one more printer after that. I think I got like an Ender 3. And then because of how YouTube and social media was going, companies started reaching out to me.
Right.
I think Reality was the first one. I want to say it was Sunlu.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say Sunlu reached out first with their S8, and then that train wreck of a printer, and then eventually it just started happening because if there's one thing that these 3D printing companies that aren't US based care about, all they care. I have some reviews coming out for them that they're not going to like. And like if you're not going to be like pushing their printers, don't bother, man. But like they saw that this random TikToker just had one printer and they were like affiliate link, like
Yeah, I've never understood that, right? It's not something that I'm inherently used to. I'm new to the whole YouTube game. Been in it for about, well, I don't know, episodes 100 weeks, right?
there you go.
So my
Okay.
my, my first start was with a podcast because we get the same questions over and over and over again from people. So I said, all right, let's just start a podcast and solve those
What's that
problems.
like?
Because then I can just say, hey, how's 3D printing work? Here's podcast. Just go watch it. Enjoy. Now all of a sudden, I'm making videos multiple times a week. We're having live interviews now where we're talking with really cool people from the industries, and it is not something that I ever expected, to say the least. Right?
It gets
Um,
away from you, right? It
it
really does.
does. It does get away
Mhm.
from you. But I will say the one thing we don't have is a lot of companies reaching out, which is kind of cool, right? That means I get to kind of make the content that I want. But it is funny
Agreed.
how sometimes a video will do poorly on YouTube, but does amazing from people that I want it to get to, right? It's
Yep.
like the
Yep.
professional audience
Exactly.
rather than the YouTube audience. So that is certainly interesting. And you recently took up reviewing as well, right? So you went from just doing a lot of the cosplay stuff and you segmented a channel into just reviews, right?
Yeah, so I'd been doing that, and that was what kind of helped start funding, and that's really where the business aspect started coming from of wanting to do this was, uh, I I just wanted to fund the hobby, and then when people on YouTube and people on Reddit, Instagram started messaging me about, hey, how are you printing an Iron Man suit with a 3D printer? Like, how
Mm-hmm.
are you doing this? How are you fusing, sanding, painting? And I started giving out that information. It was like, all right, well, I can monetize my YouTube now. Like this got big enough. Like, oh, this is kind of okay. I can start making some money off of this. That can buy filament. That can buy a printer. Then companies started reaching out to me. Hey, we'll send you this printer, do a review, and you get to keep the printer. All right, free printer, awesome. And that was some of my first. The first review video I did was actually the CR10 Max.
Okay.
Creality had given me a half off. I wasn't quite big enough yet to get the printer for free, but they were like, "Hey," because I was looking for a large printer, and they I forget who reached out to who, but they said, "Hey, we'll give you half off this printer. Do a review, and there you go. Here's a good discount code." I'm like, for $1,000 printer, I can, okay, all right, let's do that. And then it was all to feed the hobby of printing. And I really tried to stray away from printers that I wouldn't have used in the 3D printing hobby. I was trying to stay away from the really tiny printers.
Right.
I wanted the CR10 styles. I wanted the bigs, the LK5s, the S8s. Like we're a 3D printing cosplay channel. I want to use bigger printers. Occasionally, a small one would sneak through, like, just the Ender 3 or
Right.
the Focus, Odin 5, things like that. And I like doing reviews, but now with printers, I don't think there's as much of a point. I was also doing printer build videos, unboxing and build videos.
Yeah, those
because
are fun.
but you don't really have to do them anymore.
No.
Like, when's the last printer I had to build was my FL Sun Super Racer.
Okay.
Which is just, it's hard to put that in a box and ship it, but like the Ender 5 Pluses, that's all you have to build the whole frame. They're kind of gone, like this Mingda that I just got, it was a couple bolts and it went together. The new Enders are like that. There's a lot of printers that are pretty much assembled almost out of box. There's no point in having a 10-minute video about how to build it. It's like, all right. But now a review of how it performed after putting it through some paces.
Right.
I like doing those, but I didn't want to continue to put those on my main channel because I wanted to get back to cosplay. I wanted to get back to 3D printing cosplay, where I can talk about the printers. I can talk about, like, here's a list of all the printers I've been using. I can show them off in the videos, but then breaking up to a second channel now, finally, I can just focus on the reviews. Hey, this is a review. If you want to see me use it, here's me making a Green Goblin helmet with it, so that's that cross promotion. And yeah, I don't know. I started to kind of look back at my video list, and I'm like, I have a lot of printer review videos, and I didn't want to continue to go down that path.
Right. That's fair.
I still owe a lot of companies a lot. I have, no lie, probably like 15 printers downstairs that I'm still filming and trying to get videos and reviews out for. So Godspeed to them for being patient.
Hey, to do it right, it takes time. So that's what I would say. To do it right, it takes time.
And so then that was the thing. Sometimes I didn't have the time allotted, so I'd have to make sure I titled the video unboxing and first impressions. Get a couple prints off, put it out there like, hey, so far it's worked good. I'm going to continue to use it through, stay tuned. It might pop up in this video, or the printers I beat the hell out of. So far, I've been putting this Mingda through its paces for a few weeks now, and it's been fire and forget. It's been print, walk away, come back, print, walk away, come back.
Yeah.
Not bad. Same with the FL Sun. Like, oh my God, I love that
V400 has been,
it's sick.
I've been eyeing that. I'm like, I like that.
It's pretty. The only thing, I've given them 2 pieces of feedback so far on it. Clipper is a little weird to use.
Yeah.
Their instruction manual is not enough for what that beast is, and it sometimes shuts down. It's been okay so far, and then there's this big chunky 8-inch screen that just sits there. Like, there's no mount or anything for it. Just like some weird decisions. But mostly, if you go and watch Joel's FL Super Racer review about what he felt about it, he's like, oh, there should be a flex sheet and maybe a bigger screen or something. He mentioned a couple things. They honestly did that on the V400. It's a direct drive. It has lights. It has a PEI sheet. Like, it got better. They somehow made this printer that I have beat up in a year more than most of my printers, and it hasn't missed a beat. And they were like, let's make it bigger and a little bit better. And they did. The FL Sun's making some waves for sure with those machines.
I would agree. And I feel like, and I get chastised from now and then when I say it, but I think Bamboo is kind of changing that whole industry of, why don't we just play the suicidal race at the bottom? We're now looking at printers that are costing up near $1,000 or over $1,000 that are providing something different. They're no longer just another Ender 3 clone. There's actually real value being brought to the table, whether it's input shaping, it's clipper, it's big ass delta. There's something
big ass
there.
delta.
Right? Yeah.
I want that shirt now. I want that shirt. Big ass. I support big ass delta.
I know a few people with them, and we've joked, if you run them upside down, they're a lot easier to work on because you don't either have to reach, up to your ceiling to put the filament on, or you don't have to bend all the way down to make sure your first layer looks okay. If you run them upside down, you could put your filament at the top, the screen can go at the top, and you can check your first layer. And I'm curious if it will produce better prints because the overhangs will be different.
You're giving me a lot of ideas right now.
It should. Like, in theory, it should work, right? Pooch from Repcord bolted a Prusa Mark III's to his ceiling. upside
Yeah,
down, and it
I
prints fine.
bolted a Ender 3. I didn't actually bolt it. What I did in the video was I took an S5 that I had lying around because it doesn't work because it's an S5 and it's a piece of shit. And I flipped an Ender 3 and zip tied it to the frame. So there's an Ender 3 hanging upside down in an S5 frame, and it prints fine. It works. I could flip my I'd have to flip the V400 because the direct drive.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I don't have one, but if I did, that would be one of those things that I would do with it. We did a video where we tried to print while driving. That was an interesting video that we did. It didn't get a lot of views because I used neon yellow filament, which at the time I did not realize was going to be absolutely atrocious on camera. But I'm like, if you did it with a Delta, but Deltas you can't normally stand up in cars. So what if you just laid it down across the back seat of a car while you were driving? What would happen?
I feel like it would put. I think if you kept it there the whole time, it would correct. Like the weight now being on like not evenly distributed on all three steppers and belt systems. No, it's a belt system, so the stepper's really not going to have to do too much more work. It would just be it would be any loose tolerances in the print head itself,
You'd
but
find
then it would
all
be.
of them.
But it would correct because it wouldn't be the gravity would always be pushing the same way against that tolerance. So
correct. But you would see the tolerance as a backlash issue in the layers, right? So when it's moving up, you won't see it, but when it was moving down, you might see a bit of a layer. These are the weird things that I want to try out because not everybody has space for how tall is that V400?
Tall,
like physically. It's got to be at least a meter tall, right?
Here. 3 feet, almost.
So probably about a meter tall.
Yeah.
Not everyone has a meter worth of vertical distance to give up, right? Like on my shelves here, I don't have a meter. So if I wanted top shelves here, like this printer, the Fusion 3, I had to build a hood prop for it, which is up over there on the shelf. You can see the little yellow and red piece of it. So when I open the hood on that printer, it doesn't hit my ceiling. And it doesn't fall back down because it has no gas shocks or anything.
So I would actually argue that with deltas and especially the square, because or not the square, the triangular, like the super racers of the V400, I think you could get more in a space than what you have because you have zero bed movement. You can caddy corner them. You can stack them literally geometrically, turn one around, and now in the space of two, you can also fit a third behind it.
It's true.
And like lining up bed slingers is a nightmare because you have the cord on the side, and then my God, the amount of space you need on like the S5s and the CR10 Max for that bed travel.
The bed to move. Oh, dude, I was talking about this the other day.
Oh my God, I could fit no shit 6 super racers in that space.
A freaking 400 millimeter bed requires almost a full meter worth of back and forth space for it to travel in. And if you have shelves that are up against walls like all of mine are, and your shelves are only, 400 to 600 millimeters deep, you've got yourself a pretty bad problem.
I had to custom make my shelves in my garage when I had all my Soval SVO3s. I had cork board on the back or like pegboard. I had to cut the bottom of the pegboard out so the cables had enough travel because the printers they were extra deep, 28-inch deep shelves, and those beds are 300 by 400, and I had them all the way forward where the feet were at the edge of the desk or the shelf. And I still had to cut relief in the back so the bed could travel far enough back. I could never set up my S4, S5, or Max in the garage because there was just nowhere to put them. So I didn't use them. Like, I think once you get into the 400 millimeter range, it needs to be a real or faux Core XY like the Ender 5 Plus. It just needs to be a cube. It just needs to be a cube.
I want the bed to go straight down or straight up. I don't want it to.
Stop with these bed slingers.
Especially if you want to be doing parts in ABS, ASA, polycarbonate.
Oh nylon. God, yeah. And way easier to enclose too now.
Right, and when you're doing hardcore cosplay, PLA is not normally the right material to use. What is your material of choice? Is it PLA or what are you going with?
PLA.
It's PLA. So in Florida, that would melt, right? So if I left it in my car, it would melt.
newer PLA and PLA. I use a lot, mostly PLA pluses, so I get a little bit higher of a thermal deflection because I'm down here in the East Coast too, and I haven't had those. The only time I've had something melt was when I left some Mandalorian helmets on some paint stands in my attic or my garage. It hit like 120 degrees up there, dusted. How often are you leaving prints in cars though?
Yeah, so anytime that I'm leaving prints in cars, I try to put them in the trunk because I've learned the hard way.
Yeah, it's not
It's the
always so
sun
much
baking.
ambient heat. Exactly. It's the ambient heat can get kind of crazy, but not that bad. It's direct sunlight. It's when people are standing outside and they put their faceplate down on the pavement and sun just my faceplate worked. Well, you left it in direct sunlight, you jerk. PLA is not what it used to be.
No, and PLA Plus, and I don't know what 11 herbs and spices companies are putting
And
into
no
it
one
now,
does. No one does, man.
But it's like, that doesn't smell like I'm used to PLA smelling. I'm like, oh,
yes,
wait a minute, I can smell it. That's a problem.
Yeah.
Go turns on VOC filters in the room.
Yep, it's different. Yeah, and they all have like I think Fulament's PLA Plus. It was like their matte PLA Plus. It was dog water. Sunluz has just been consistent for me for 3 years. Like it just hasn't missed. It just prints 215/65 on every printer I use. I don't do temp towers. I don't do calibration cubes.
Me neither. I don't have time.
I load up a roll and go. And even with like, I'm getting silks and stuff, I run the same temps. Like printers and filament are not what they used to be, and it's amazing. No. I know original PLA, it was like 160, 170 with like a thermal deflection below 100 degrees, which is, I mean, you breathe on it too hard, it'll melt. It's not what it used to be. And if you really want to do cosplays and stuff, PTG. ABS is kind of dead when it comes to cosplays because
everything about it sucks.
It does.
It's liquefied dinosaurs as a plastic. Why?
It's toxic. It's hard to sand. If you want to use acetone sanding, now you're talking or smoothing. You're talking about fumes and toxins. It warps like flammable. A mofo. Like it just PETG was like, yeah, no, this is better. PETG strings like a bitch, but once you figure that out, and if you go down the PETG path, you're happy there. I know plenty of people who all they do is print with it, and then they'll try PLA and be like, this stuff sucks. Well, yeah, because you've been molesting your hot end to like 260 degrees for a year, and now you're trying to actually make it just do 200. It doesn't like that. Well, and doesn't like that anymore.
Be careful, of course, if you're running non-all metal hot ends with PETG, if they're not designed for that. The PTFE liners in those hot ends above 250 degrees will start to off-gas formaldehyde, which if you have birds is incredibly deadly in very, very, very small amounts. So those of you that do have birds that want to get into 3D printing, please make sure that you have all metal hot ends because you don't want to find your bird dead and not know why. It is a real common problem.
Did not know that.
Yeah.
My hot ends never go above 220 right now.
Right.
But I did just get a Chitty Tech CFX Pro.
I've seen those too.
That can do carbon fiber and nylon, and I am excited about that. And they have been very patient.
CF nylon is going to change your life. Regular nylon is terrible. I do not like printing with it. It is like Prusa just put out a specific bed for nylon. That's how bad this stuff is to print. Because it destroys PEI. Like if you don't put glue down, it'll weld to it and you're gonna have a bad day.
I would love to somehow get a sponsorship deal because CF nylon is expensive.
It is. This is some CF PETG that I printed, and we'll let that focus for just a second. Now, this is with a diamond nozzle. This is a nozzle tipped with polycrystalline diamond. So it is, polished smooth, so it basically irons the layers.
Yeah.
But if you want something that comes off of the printer that needs minimal to no extra work on it, carbon fiber. The fun thing about it is it's weaker. It is not stronger. It is not like a Lamborghini. It's not like a or a Ferrari.
It's not real carbon fiber. Yeah.
It is, but it's not woven, and it's not encapsulated in an epoxy resin. So it is way more for show than it is for go. What it does do is it makes the parts incredibly rigid. So a regular nylon part, you can bend it pretty easily. Add some carbon fiber into it. One, you remove a lot of the warping problems, but two, you make it much more rigid. And for purposes of like when you need an armor
Interesting.
piece that you're going to be, touching and grabbing things with.
Hmm.
CFs are great for that versus regular materials because they don't degrade and damage like the others do.
Yeah. I gotta start looking into that. I mean, I just again it goes back to kind of what you're talking about, like it's a tool and if it works, it works. I found PLA pluses, and I've used some other PLA pluses like eSuns. eSuns wasn't bad. I think I had to do 220 on that. Um, I've used some that the bonding, the layer adhesion wasn't as great as I'd liked, and I could have probably messed around with it more, gotten it better. But like I landed on a brand that's relatively cheap. They run discount and bundle sales. Like I remember there was one time they were running like it was 20 rolls for a certain amount or 10 rolls, and it was 10 rolls for like $100 or something or
Don't
some
tell
it
me it's
was
GST 3D.
no. I'm talking about Sunlu. No, no, ew, gross. Yeah, the great lie of the community.
Yeah.
No, it was Sunlu. They ran a deal one time, and I was able to also apply my own discount code and my own affiliate link because they didn't stop me.
No, man,
and I was
use
able to
those
get
affiliates, baby.
yeah, I got rolls of PLA Plus for like $5.
Did you enjoy the Prime Day pricing error from Sunlu?
This year?
Yeah.
I didn't see it.
If you have an impulse buying problem, stay away from the 3DP Deals Twitter account. But if you don't have an impulse buying problem, it will give you one. 3 rolls of PLA with 2 of their S2 dryers for a grand total of $9.63 delivered.
What's this Twitter?
At 3DP Deals. Now, all their stuff is affiliate links.
That.
But
I did see that on Facebook.
Yeah. And myself and a few of the other staff and some of our patrons in our Discord, I guess, shout out to my Patreon members. We all got it. And yep.
It was real.
There's one of the S2 Grant. Your camera's backwards, Grant. It's back there.
That's
the
awesome.
S2 dryer's back there. Although it doesn't work for me. Because it's on the wrong side. The dryer is completely backwards right there for it to work on that side of the printer. The S2s are only designed to go on one side of your printer, and it's the wrong side for mine, but whatever.
Ugh.
But for $9, I don't care. I'll drill a new hole in it. Pass the filament through.
Oh, God. But there's a Sunlu S8 for sale for like $180, and it's like, no, that's not even worth it.
When you're getting that kind of quality, and like, again, they need, in my opinion, a printer without auto bed leveling is a headache. Right, I don't want to level beds. That's why I am of the Prusa fanboy. I have 40 printers now, and 11 of them are resin. So like, and the only reason I have 11 resin printers is because I don't want to change vats and tanks. So it's 1 printer per material plus 1 printer as a spare. So should we have a failure, pull the drive, put it into the new printer, move the build plate and the vat over, and just do it again. Just from a business standpoint,
that makes sense.
That made a lot of sense. But for FDM, yeah, we have 13 Prusas total right now. And I
pre-ordered the Prusa XL.
The big one?
Yeah. I didn't get the multi-tool head. I just got the normal one.
Oh, really? You didn't go for the 5 tool head?
No, I was already spending so much. I'm like, this. I have thoughts about Prusa. I like them. I've seen them. I've seen the prints that come off of them, and they do work. But I feel like there just hasn't. Where has been that innovation of, like, you have this the Mark III, and I can see behind you. Like, they have been great, and they've paved the way. Everybody wanted to copy that. I mean, that's what the Ender 3 is. It's a Mark III clone. But now everybody says that everything's an Ender 3 clone when the Ender 3 was a Prusa clone. And you'll still see them marketed like that, like I'll see them on like eBay or something, or like, Ender Creality, Ender 3 3D printer, Mark III clone, Prusa, like it's like the long titles are like
SEO.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then you have the XL coming out finally, and I think that was because they had to catch up with, in the sense of, well, everybody wants a bigger Prusa. Well, here's a bigger Prusa.
Yep.
I don't know how I feel about getting a printer that price with 3D printed parts on it. I don't know. It just always looked kind of weird to me. Like, if Creality had sent me $1,000 printer, and parts and brackets and holders on it were printed, aside from the fan duct, which I kind of get, sure, whatever. You don't have to injection mold it then. I'd be kind of mad. People would freak out about that, And I know it's a little bit of a staple of Prusa, especially where they started. It's like, hey, it started as a kit, and it's kind of their trademark now. But I don't know. I'm curious to see it. I'm very excited to see it. But
I think the last 3 months have kind of changed a lot of people's opinions, right? So I have, from day one that I found Prusa, was a Prusa fanboy, because as a business, I just need things to work. I need to click print, I need to walk away, and it needs to work, right?
They just work.
Is it going to be the fastest? No, but I have enough that I don't care, right? If I want something faster, I'm going to split it up into 2 printers, and it's going to get done at double the speed.
Agreed.
Bamboo Lab, I think, shook up the industry, something that we kind of needed. And maybe you saw this too. I was getting very complacent to the Ender 3 clones, like where I was saying, I really don't want to look at Ender 3 clones on my channel anymore, because it's the same
I stopped
shit
reviewing them.
day.
I ignore those emails. I just ignored an email from King Room, whatever the hell you say.
Yeah, I know him.
The King Room K2, or then this, or the 8. And like, I'm so sick of these. Nothing new has come out about like these E3s. Focus, they tried, bless their hearts. They were like, it folds. And then they realized no one cared about that. So now they have their Odin 5 Smart, which I have sitting downstairs. Haven't opened it yet.
As I said in my Friday video, every printer can fold. It is a matter of how hard you're willing to try.
Yes, correct. And all they had to do is put like some quick release pins. That would have been such a better gimmick, but whatever.
Hey, right? It's not like we know a little bit about 3D printing, right?
No, not at all. No, God. And no, they're all Ender 3s, man. And Creality tried with the CR10 Smart. Nope, that missed. And now it's up to other people. It's up to FL Sun. It's up to Bamboo. I've actually just gotten finally an email chain with them, so hopefully I'll be getting my hands on one of those things.
I'm giving them 6 months before I look at buying one for the business, because when you sell $6 million of anything, you're going to find that your biggest challenge is, if it is not supply chain, it's customer support. And I want to see how the average person gets along with it. We've had a lot of reviewers get them. Some of them have had good experiences, some of them a little bit less good, but overall, I think the perception has been positive. But I want to see them in production atmospheres where they're being used 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I want to see what fails. And then I want to see how customer service works.
Okay.
If it takes you 2 weeks to get parts, I don't know, man, Yeah. But if I can get parts in 2 to 3 days, or there's, maybe they put the spare parts on Amazon so I can just buy them as needed if I don't want to wait for warranty.
Yeah.
Those are all like a business case I look at and say, okay, I mean, and it was like only $250 less on the Kickstarter. I said, no, not gonna risk that.
Yeah, not great.
I'll wait.
Wasn't great.
But I know people that are already getting them, like they're already delivering, and that is astounding to me. So good on them. Like I poo-poo them a lot because I think they've been getting a lot of rave reviews initially. And then some of the issues started coming out, but the issues all kind of showed kind of right close to the end or right after their Kickstarter finished. So I don't, it gave something to me to say, maybe we're not testing these printers hard enough. Maybe we're not, as reviewers, abusing the machines enough, because we know what we're doing. Do we have to look at it from an individual's perspective that's never used a printer to say, all right, so how easy is this to use if I immediately assume I know nothing?
That's how I've always tried to do my reviews. Some better than others. This Minga, right? I immediately had to take it apart out of box. It's not going to be a great review over the entire thing. The bed, one of the wheels on the bottom, not the wheel itself was loose, the whole bolt was loose. But in order to tighten the nut, I had to get to the other side of it, which meant I had to take off the self-leveling bed, which meant 20 screws. So this happened immediately as I was building it. Like the whole bed was just clunk, 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 clunk. And I had to, that's what I was upset about. I'm like, I know how to fix this. I know exactly why it's doing this. Somebody's going to sit down here. Maybe they'll find the eccentric nut. It's not going to tighten because it's loose. It just spins. So maybe they don't even notice. Maybe they don't even notice the bed's wobbly and they're printing, and their prints are going to look like dog shit. And then they're going to probably go down a rabbit hole of, well, level your bed. Well, it's a self-leveling bed.
Oh,
Oh,
it's
this is
probably wet
loose.
filament though. Don't worry about
It's
it.
yeah, but dry out your
What a
filament. It's oh,
crux of this industry. That's a whole
you're using Curo. Oh, you should use S3D. Shut up. It like the printer was broken out of box. It what or wasn't built. The quality, the QA quality assurance of that missed,
and
and
the
they sent that to
shipping,
me.
right? You have
Yeah,
to also blame. There's some blame to be held for shipping, but more importantly, the packaging.
I disagree. I
Really?
disagree with a lot of these new printers because they are packaged like bombs. They are, especially that one. The phone was all in the right because I looked at that too. I'm like, could the bed have shifted? Like if I really shook it in here, could it have shifted? No, they're pretty good at keeping those beds sturdy. This bolt was just loose. Yeah. Other printers, no. Was it this one? Another printer I just opened had styrofoam. It was the first time I saw styrofoam. It wasn't that black foam, which I really like. It was
Yeah, I
styrofoam.
like the
And
open cell. Styrofoam's terrible.
I hated it. It was everywhere. I was like, this is the worst choice ever.
And it's
Maybe
like it's so bad for the environment, and people don't recycle, and just
no, they don't. I still have all my printer boxes, but like once I got that figured out, once I'm like, all right, cool, it's bed, it's leveled, ran one leveling sequence, and it's been great since. But that matters because you're right. I knew how to fix that. Oh, fucking wobbly bed, great. Joe Schmo, who doesn't know why his printer is giving him the worst layer lines he's ever seen, but like, oh, the guy on YouTube got smooth prints. Why does mine look like this? And then he gets mad at both of us, and it's
yeah,
like,
you get mean comments, and you're like, this is not my fault. Like this is
dude,
don't blame me. I'm the messenger.
someone went to war with me on my channel recently, and I think it was a burner account because I think I know who it was. But he started commenting on probably 9 or 10 of my videos, long paragraphs. How dare you? I trusted in you. I did this.
We've had two of those so far.
Oh, he got real. I want he like wanted
Hide
an
user from
apology.
channel.
Yeah, that was it. I told him like, dude, like if you had just left one comment, like let's talk about this. But he started spamming, and I was like, dude, like stop this, or I'm gonna block you. Took that and ran. Look, everybody, look at how he's talking to his fans. Look at this. Be careful. He was like, be careful, Frank. You know, you never know who's watching. Like he was threatening me in the comments. I'm like, what is going on right now, man? I'm like, I'm not gonna message Creality.
Yeah, I know.
Because one dude on YouTube got up. Like that's it's not my job, dude. Like, sorry, I'm sorry you had this. Like my channel is to help you try to fix that, but this hobby isn't for everybody, and that sometimes that's just going to be the case, you know.
It's why we run Print Fix Friday, right? Where I go on to Reddit, I go on to the multitude of discords that I'm in, I go on to Twitter, and I look for people that are having print failures. If they've already solved them, fine. But if it's something that's unique or something we haven't covered in a while, I like to cover it because people are looking for that stuff. People want to know, like, wait, I'm getting a lot of stringing. What could be the problem? Well, retraction, temperature, maybe wet filament right at the end. If it's PETG, it might be a little bit damp. But if it doesn't sound like Rice Krispies, it's not wet filament. And
so
it's
I have a question for
yeah.
I have a question for you, and it's something I've noticed because you are a veteran to this. You have been this 2008, 2009, you said?
I started in 2008. Yeah, I built my first printer in 2008.
So you've been doing this 10 years longer than me. Okay. Now, when I hop on to Facebook and 3D printing Reddit. 3D printing Reddit, I've said it in videos. It's what?
Just avoid Facebook.
See, I avoid Reddit. I think 3D printing Reddit is the cesspool of the internet. It is the worst place because there are a lot of veterans there, and you'll have people who get these new printers that don't need the E-step calibration, that don't need all of this adjustment, and they'll go on there and, hey, I have a failed print. And Facebook's the same way. And what I've noticed is that a lot of the veterans who built the printer, you would never even think twice about it being a leveling problem. You already leveled your printer. You know that. I know that now. But I think people get sent down these incredible rabbit holes of on Facebook, on Reddit, in the wrong, hey, my print looks like this. And you naturally, people who've been doing it 5-10 years, have already in your mind gone through, well, it can't be any of these little things. So
I had that happen to me the other day, and I'm so pissed at myself for missing it. Like, literally, it was someone in the Maker Deck Discord, shout out Maker Deck. We're going to be setting up a stream soon to start live streaming our time-lapse printer directly to MakerDeck whenever we're printing stuff that I can show off. If you don't know about MakerDeck, it's where you can stream your printer and be a part of a global digital online makerspace and just show off what you're doing. And that can be your printing, maybe you're doing some painting and sanding. When we start doing more scanning for videos, I'm at like either one of the two sets that we have. I'm going to stream that to MakerDeck, and shout out Pez Liz, who's in the comments right now, the executive producer of MakerDeck. And it is such a cool community. And I was in there, and this person was having issues where their infill was not connecting to their perimeters.
Yeah.
I asked about E-steps, right? Immediately check E-steps, right? Measure 100 millimeters, drive it. Where are we at? It was perfect. Okay, how wiggly is your bed? No, it looks okay. All right. What about belts? Where are your belts at? Tighten some belts. Checked extrusion multiplier. Said, all right, let's try a little bit higher extrusion. Their infill overlap percent was set to 0, and I didn't even think about that because it's never set to 0. It's always set to something in all of the softwares. But whatever profile they were using, or maybe they messed with a setting, they had set it to 0. And if your filament shrinks even a little bit, it's not going to connect to the damn infill. And I felt like an absolute moron. And I think it was Pink. I think it was Pink. She's one of the volunteers with MakerDeck. And I'm like, God, no. I feel like such an idiot. I should know better than this. And it's like, all right, time to check yourself a little bit. Let's look at your list a little bit closer of what you go through when you look at print failures. And it's good every now and then, right, to be reminded that there's always something more to learn, and maybe you do miss things. So,
and I think now where it stands in the community is all, I'm not talking about people who are building Vorons and, rat rigs and all that, but the people, just the average Joe, I'd say at this point, 99% of the community it's going to be level your, it's just a meme at this point, but it's level your bed.
Yep.
And like, level your bed, clean your damn bed. My God.
Hold it like a vinyl record. Not that that means anything to half the audience out there. Hold it from the edges. Don't touch the damn bed. Hold it from the edges.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I do, in terms of some of the maintenance I do on my, I preach about my doing printers. I definitely don't practice a lot of it. Like I level my enders every like 4 months. They print fine. I have 5 of them. My Pro V2s, they have BL Touch. They're great. I'm on the border about selling a lot of my printers, getting rid of a vast majority of them, and just getting a bunch of Super Racers and V400s. That's how much these printers have just blown me away. And I want to have the same printer. Like it's a nightmare when you have so many different profiles and slicers. And
oh, dude, like this one back here, it's my signed printer. It's the one that I have signed by Joe Prusa. Very happy about that.
That's awesome.
It's my diamond printer, so it has a diamond nozzle. It prints 20C colder than any of the other machines because diamond has a better thermal conductivity. And if you don't know that, and you run PLA at stock PLA temps 210, 215, it's going to string, it's not going to stick, it's going to have a massive problem.
Interesting.
So it's like there's a separate profile for that machine. The Revos, technically I run them basically the same. And I might have some special Revo nozzles sitting right here. Some black rainbow boys, video coming eventually because we're not allowed to talk about that right now. But I'm told that on some people, they have to do modifications, and it's like, okay, you're going to buy a $200 printer. You're going to put a $200 hot end on it, $50 auto bed leveling kit, the upgrades for all this and that. What about your time? So why don't you just go spend $1,500, $1,500 on a V400, on a Bamboo, on a Mark 3S or a Mini, and just get a better printer from the get-go. It's fun, but man, when you realize how much time you spend calibrating printers, it's like, good Lord.
And I think that's, I don't want to say it, but like, I kind of think that's where the hobby's going. I think slowly the people who are modifying them, the upgraded parts, the modifications, I think it's going to slowly start going in the way of like almost the car industry, where Bamboo made a printer that you're not supposed to modify. The Prusa XL, I doubt there's going to be much in terms of being able to really modify it and upgrade it. Like I have like modifying, deltas and, the V400. Like, okay, yeah, I can probably swap out the nozzle, it upgrade some extruder, change some stuff out. But I think it's going to start going along the way of you're not either need to upgrade these printers because you can just, get one, or you're really not going to be able to. And I think it's going to start slowly creeping away from that open firmware, that open software, that open source system that birthed 3D printing. And I do see that eventually going away. There probably will still be those holdouts who like building the printers, getting as best quality as possible, but slowly I think the market is going to catch up to that quality. I mean, I've seen Ender 3s just straight up outperform, some of these old Ultimakers that cost, thousands, tens of thousands of dollars and take up, they're the size of a fridge. And like, I can go to Micro Center and in an hour build a printer and pump off quality better than this $10,000 printer from a few years ago.
That'd be 16 hours for me because the local Micro Center's 15 hours round trip. So
yeah, I don't have one close either. It sucks. I wanted to so bad, but the nearest one's like Maryland.
Yeah, no, it's too far. Now, are you going to be at IRF?
No.
Why not?
Because I'm just hearing about it.
Okay. East Coast Rep Festival. It's in Aberdeen, Maryland. And it's October, it's the weekend of the 8th.
Oh, that's why. No, Joel or Uncle Jesse mentioned it. New York Comic-Con. For some reason, they thought it would be a good idea to schedule it on the biggest Comic-Con on the East Coast. So I will not be there this year.
The whole time? Because I know Sith Lord Brit's coming just for Sunday.
Yeah. So I'm driving up. I'm leaving the Carolinas to go up to Richmond, Virginia on the 1st and 2nd for Cosplay World. Mm-hmm. And then from there, I'm driving up back to New Jersey. I'm going to go to New Jersey, spend the week with family. And then,
nice.
And then this 8th, 9th, 10th, or 11th, or whatever, Friday to Sunday, I'm at New York Comic Con. Like that's the whole weekend. Because that is the first time I'm going to New York Comic Con. And I'm actually going there. When I go there on the 8th, I will still be in the military. When I leave there the 9th, I will be a civilian in the reserves.
Well,
so I actually, that's my last day at an active duty. I'll be at New York Comic Con.
So you're going to be active duty in an Ironman suit.
Yeah. And then I will not be.
So. That's a cool way to end it. Well, thank you for your service to the U.S. military. We those of us that don't have the opportunity to serve, thank you for your service. It has always amazed me the amount of effort that people will put into the machines. And I there was a time ago when I was modifying printers, and it's fun. Like, I do modify the Prusas, but I buy them all as kits, and I have a plate of parts that I print, and I replace their parts with mine. And it's quality of life things like more easily tension the y-axis. I don't have to flip the printer over to do it. Just it's a screw and it's done.
Exactly.
It's nothing that overtly changes the way the machine works or anything like that. They're just slightly modified stock parts. But if you ever do find yourself, or maybe we're in town together for some reason, let me know. I normally take my scanners with me. We have an Artec Eva, which will get you one of the best scans of yourself that you've ever had.
I will. You said you're in Florida?
Yeah, Tampa.
Oh. Okay. I definitely will be down there eventually.
Let me know.
Yeah.
Because that's like, I know we were supposed to scan Uncle Jesse when he was down here. He got busy with family stuff, so he's coming down in like Christmas time, December. We're going to get together then. We're going to scan him because he does a lot of cosplay stuff as well. And his scans that he has, they're okay, but they're not from a $20,000 hand scanner good.
Yeah.
I have one of those. So smoke them if you got them.
You're not. That's not a bad idea. You're 9 hours from me, by the way.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. So how do you go about sizing the suits to fit you? That's got to be a complicated process.
Oh yeah. There's a million ways to skin that cat. Unfortunately, you can do what I did on my first suit, this one, and hip fire it. I printed the whole suit at 100% scale. And then after it was printed, because remember, people, this is plastic. It's made of plastic. So I took a Dremel to it. I took cutters. I took nippers. I took a heat gun. I warped it. I sanded it. I trimmed it. Yeah, make it fit. The biggest problem I had was my legs are not that long. It's made for a 6 foot tall person. I am 5'8". But I was able to trim it down just a little bit, and then I also use lifter shoes to kind of get. I made myself fit into the suit, if that makes sense. Not ideal.
No.
I'm still paying for it. Like it still fits wonky because of it, but it was my first suit. I didn't know any better. And then I did the exact same thing on this suit. But this one I was able to trim a lot more off of because of the way the suit's built and fit. Same thing. I have very short legs. Like my torso, my like waist up, arms, shoulders, head, everything fits this 6 foot suit perfectly. Like I'm comfortable in it. My legs are short. So that's where my pitfall of my height is. So printing another DO3D suit, again, my upper body fits in the top very nicely. Legs were too long, had to trim them down.
Are you an iPhone
Now
user?
I am. So there's Scandic Pro, Polycam, that's the other. So that's one of the other options. It's 3D scan yourself somehow. And a few years ago, that would have been just, you would have needed a $20,000-$30,000 machine, or you ghetto rig a Xbox Connect together, which I do have one, never got it to work, but it's enough to get a simple scan.
It's good enough.
Geometric. Yes. Or you do sizing rings. I love sizing rings. Those are great. They can work for a multitude of applications, but not everything. You can use them for your arms. Like if you print out the top of the forearm, the ring for that. Obviously, if you can't get your wrist in through it, it's too small. So you start figuring stuff out like that. I do have a Revo Point Pop scanner. It absolutely shits on the CR Scan Lizard that Creality tried to pump out and
you have
whatever.
One of the lizards?
Yeah. Oh, I have one. Did that Kickstarter die? I never knew what happened to that.
They got sued by Artec.
Did they? I thought that it was still ongoing.
The lawsuit is still ongoing. And we talked about this in a previous podcast, so I have to shill that previous podcast with Seth Polanski, an actual IP attorney who also streams D&D content, which is pretty cool. He's like crazy. Yeah. The fact that he didn't own a 3D printer still frightens me because he really should. But we talked about it, and he went through it. He said, okay, they refunded everybody. So they refunded everybody through Kickstarter. Artec was able to sue Creality because the amount of money that they did via Kickstarter made Creality have a USA nexus, which means you must follow USA patent, trademark, and copyright laws. Creality's not really known for playing by the rules. And Artec sued the ever-loving dog shit out of them. And the claims are pretty crazy. Things like they poached our staff and the staff took source code, right?
I can hear you.
Yeah, you're good. And that source code is the problem. Poaching staff, well, that's all in fair in love and war. Well, what ended up happening is Creality just refunded everybody through Kickstarter and said, well, now we don't have a USA Nexus. Suck it. And the courts are like, I don't know about that. And then they had everyone do the backer through, I forget the name of the company, but it was a different company. There's a lizard. That scanner, according to Creality, is as good and technically slightly better than my Artec Eva, which is 40 times its price. And
well, I'd let you know if I could get the damn thing to work. The firmware is dog shit. I can't get it to work properly.
Yeah. I just did a scanning video. I struggled, and hilariously, I got called out on Instagram for it. So I told the person, hey, just email me, let's talk about it. It was a CTO of Artec.
Ah.
I'm like, okay, yeah, I guess you can call me out for that. That's fine.
Yeah.
And I got a training on Tuesday. I'm going to go through a 2-hour training with them to talk through that part a little bit better and show how the scanner can do it. And I'm going to do an update video.
Wow.
It'll be cool.
That's so I have a Revo Point Pop, the first version, not the second. Amazing. Once they fixed their firmware, their initial software on the computer for the scanning was dog water. The UI was trash. They updated it.
Way better.
Works great. Works great. A handheld scanner. I can hook it up to my phone, hook it up to my iPad, run it off my computer.
I might have backed the Mini. I might have done that. And
it's not bad.
The Mini is like backing a Kickstarter is off brand for me, but the price comparison versus waiting, I said, I'll give it a shot. And I said, all right, well, that's a cool video no matter what. If it sucks, I get to show it. If it doesn't suck,
that's fair.
Then we have a really cool, that's a much cooler video. If it does better, than a
Yeah.
scanner that is considerably more its cost. And
I still need to put out a review video for the Revo, and then I
mhm.
want to do one on my main channel about like 3D scanning stuff, 3D scanning yourself for cosplay. I think that'd be a good video. So,
The better three quarters does a lot of cosplay. Hilariously, we've been dating for 5 or so years now, and she has never used a 3D printed part in one of her cosplays. And I always laugh. I'm like, you literally have 40 plus printers at your disposal. She's like, but no, but those are yours. She just got her first printer a couple of months
oh,
ago, so she's looking at she's designed her own pieces, and I think that that's really cool to kind of see like what it was like for me 10 plus years
mhm.
ago. It's what it's like for her now. And I think that it's really cool to watch people go through that. Because, like, oh, yeah,
Absolutely.
I remember when I was like brand new to this and I wasn't
Yep.
jaded by all the different filaments I could buy.
Not at all. Oh, not at
Have you
all.
tried printed solid filament? What do you think of Jesse?
So, hmm?
Printed solid it's printed solid filament Jesse PLA. Oh,
Haven't used it.
buddy. Oh, buddy. Oh, we're gonna have to
Oh,
talk off stream.
oh
You got to get
no.
yourself some Jesse PLA, particularly for what you do. Design white would be amazing. It is not that bright, brilliant white that everybody hates. It's got a little bit of gray to it, and it ends up being so much better for
Any
painting.
That's the thing. I avoid any whites, light grays, and yellows
No
because when you
kidding.
sand them, you can't see where you sanded. It's a nightmare. Because when you hit it with a power sander, it doesn't discolor, unlike the blacks, grays, reds.
Oh yeah, it won't
Um,
dull a little bit, huh?
it does not. That's why I never use white. That's the worst thing to use. When now I could go immediately dump a can of primer on it, but then that clogs my power sander. So that's why I usually do a color, power sand it first, and then it dulls, and I can see where I left off. Then I hit it with the first coat of primer. So there's pros and cons.
Your paint
Now,
jobs are ridiculous, so I'm gonna go ahead and say that you know what the hell you're doing because I suck at painting.
thank you. Yeah, it's been trial and error, and a lot of things looking on camera.
Do you have experience as like a professional painter before you got into doing the all of that?
I used to build Gundam models and sell them in Japan when I lived there. I just grew up doing. I would paint Gundam models with spray paint, and it would annoy so many people on the 3D the Gunpla Gundam model
Yeah.
Reddit because I was doing this in Okinawa, Japan, where the humidity is 100%, and I was getting results kind of like this with spray paint on little Gundam models, little plastic models. So I learned a lot of tolerances on what paints work good, clear coats, this, that. And it's a lot of practice. It's a lot of trial and error. I could tell you exactly one way how I made this Green Goblin helmet. I could tell you 100 ways how it doesn't work though. What
That's a
paints
gorgeous
don't.
paint job. That is printed
Isn't
and
that?
painted.
Yes, sir. Look
Oh
at that.
shit.
Isn't that?
Wow.
Yeah, yep, all spray paint. No airbrushing, just all spray paint. And it was testing. It was testing, layering different not candies, but pearlescents,
Hmm.
testers paints, figuring out a clear coat that worked with them. And like a lot of it, I had to strip it back off. Like I said, I did a lot of testing, but yeah, you practice. You practice. I know what clear coats. I can tell you exactly step by step on the every paint and step I used on my suit, because I could also tell you the 100 ways that it didn't work, all the testing. And then you can apply those. All right, I know how to get this nice red. Well, that works great on my Samus and my Red Hood and my Daredevil. So you just start, everything bleeds out into each other until you get a new paint scheme where you're like, well, I've never done pearlescent green, purple. Let's figure it out,
Uh,
and then makes for some content.
Mitch 3D in the comments saying, "Wow, that looks better than the screen use one." And yeah, also probably because the screen use one was somewhat fake. Uh,
The one in the new Spider-Man was all CGI.
yeah.
What's funny is you can probably still hear me just fine.
Oh yeah, you're fine.
Yep.
Although I could hear myself echoing there. That was kind of weird. Huh.
It's because I turned on. Sorry, I turned on. I accidentally unmuted YouTube because I have the
Oh,
chat going.
we heard the
Yeah,
stream
yeah.
playing back. Okay.
Funny. Hey, if you guys want a really cool 3D printing story, though,
Do it.
there was I don't remember his username on Instagram, but he made a 3D model of a Green Goblin helmet. He modeled one. This is DO3D's one, but it was I don't know the guy's name. There's a behind the scenes shot of the new Spider-Man movie. And when Willem Dafoe was talking to the Goblin in the alleyway, and the helmet is on the dumpster.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there isn't a real finished helmet there. What there is that guy's 3D printed helmet in a just a blank color mold that they printed and hung there as reference. So Willem knew where to look and talk to. And it's that dude on Instagram's 3D file. So that's the only real helmet used at any point, because up until that point, he was CGI flying around. And after that, he never wears the helmet again. So the only real helmet in that whole movie is a CGI paint out of a real helmet on the dumpster. And it's 3D printed.
I know Age of Ultron had printed helmets in it because we made them.
What?
Yeah, we made the master for Ultron for the Age of Ultron.
Sir, I did not know that.
Yeah, so that is now something we can talk about. For many years, I couldn't talk about that, but that was a very big. That was done in full color sandstone because they wanted it to be much heavier. It needed to have weight to it, so we made it out of full color sandstone because you can literally put a blowtorch to it and it will not deform. It's gypsum, so it's quite literally fireproof, based on its chemical properties. They didn't want it full color; they wanted it white, because that's the raw material is white. And they use that as the master to produce all the ones used in the movie.
Oh.
And so I mean, we've worked on quite a few major motion pictures, just not in ways that like are meaningful, right? We were the backup printers for some of the largest stop motion animation facilities in the nation that do amazing stop motion animation work. Leica. We were the backup printer for the Smithsonian, so I've printed parts that are in the Smithsonian. And I printed Snoop Dogg. And Snoop Dogg's the one that everybody asks about, so I always keep Snoop Dogg handy.
You printed Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, because why not? You know? Always got to keep Snoop handy. No one ever questions the Smithsonian, but they always question this guy.
What the heck? Yeah. Is that a powder printer?
Yeah. Yeah, that was my my profession for many years. I was known as the best in the world. Oh, so much bubble wrap noise. I was known as the best in the world for 5 years in powder 3D printing. I ran 5 of them at one point in my heyday. Now we're just down to one that I'm actually looking to sell. So if someone wants to spend $30,000+ on a printer, hit me up.
Yeah, right.
They weigh 1,000 pounds empty. Yeah. But you know, hilariously, I'm like, oh, these things print so fast. Resin printers print faster now. But you know, it's not full color in resin. So have you messed around with resin too much or no?
I have 7 resin printers and I'm terrible at resin printing. I am just bad at it because coming from the FDM world, I want to save supports and I want to mitigate this and that. So it bites me in the ass when I'm trying to slice a resin file. And I'm like, I think that's enough supports. And it's definitely not. Positioning them, trying not to get that suction effect. I have my biggest resin printer is the EPAX X156.
What build volume is that? I don't know that one off the top of my head.
It's the same as the Piopoli Phenom.
Ooh,
the Phenom L.
Okay.
It's big. Not the XL, just the Phenom. But yeah, it's a 15.6 screen. It's huge. I wrote across the top of it, mini fridge. And I got some good prints off of it. I was able to get, it's one of my few resin printed helmets because they're, resin's brittle, it's not something I would use for cosplay. But like for display pieces.
Yeah, that's gorgeous.
Wow. Just resin, and it was battle damage. So if there were any imperfections on it, it's like, all right, well, oops.
That's expected. It's normal. It's fine.
It's normal. Yeah, it's supposed to be
more battle damage.
And then I have 2 EPAX E10s. Those are the Elegoo Saturn size. Yeah. Oh no, they're bigger than the Elegoo Saturns. Are they the Mercuries? They're 9-inch, 8.9-inch screens, a 4K and an 8K. I have 2 of those. I've gotten some good prints off of those. Elegoo just sent me the Saturn 2, which I've been testing. I had a Mars 1 and 2 Pro. They were great. Those are little workhorses, man.
I still have OG LCD Marses. Like they still haven't died on me.
They are great. And then Longer just sent me a printer. It's called the Orange 4K, and it's tinier than the Mars 1. Like the screen, it's smaller than my phone. It's cheap. but the footprint of it is bigger than the Mars. Like I have it next to, I have a Voxelab Proxima, which is also actually pretty good. Um,
Well,
like
if
the
Logger ain't
Voxelab,
selling it cheap, ain't no point to buy it.
yeah, it's not, it's, I think it's like two something. Yeah. They have been the most annoying, persistent about this review than Lulzbot, who sent me their $5,000 Taz Pro, and they like chill. I will get to it when I get to it.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's like you're going to frustrate, and it's like, okay, I get it. You have some cost out there that you're trying to get your ROI on. You got to get it in the books. But why would you go and try to frustrate the person or people that are the ones that are supposed to make that seems so counterintuitive to me when
So bad.
you might say, yeah, so the printer's okay, but my communications with them were absolutely terrible, and that made for a bad experience. That's the kind of stuff that, like, as I've said it, it is more about that after sales experience to me, because printers are printers are printers, right? Like, unless you do get something that's miraculously wrong with it, they're all kind of the same at the end of the day, and it's how the
Especially
company
resin
handles
printers.
it.
Especially resin printers. There's not much to mess up there. It's just, I don't know. I honestly, I haven't gotten a good print off. I haven't gotten a print off of it. I've been trying. It keeps failing. I've tried different resins. I've leveled it and leveled it. Yeah. So,
Dude,
and
if
it's
you
just
ever need
annoying.
help, hit me up. Seriously.
Between you and oh God, what's his name on TikTok? He's like the resin. He calls himself the resin printing god. There's a joke. I can't remember.
I don't
Akuma
use
mods.
TikTok enough as I should. Oh, Akuma's great. Okay, I know
Yeah,
Akuma
he's
mods.
great. Yeah, he's good, dude.
Happy belated birthday to Akuma mods, by the way. It was like a day or two ago. I
Resin's fun. I want to play around with it more. I want it once I'm full time in October. I want to play around with master molds and castings, and that my big resin printer can be real good for some helmet parts. So,
you thinking of going into the business of selling pre-done armor for people?
never,
Never.
never, not worth it. That is a question I get asked a lot. Will you ever sell suits? In order to replicate this suit, now granted, I do know what I'm kind of doing. It would still take me 2 to 3 months to print, finish, paint, wire the electronics, somehow fit it to you if you're not here, which that's a whole other bag of cats. Maybe I get a good 3D scan of you because I'm not.
That's how you do it.
I'm not taking measurements of you because you're going to mess it up, or no, it needs to be 3D scan. You're not going to like how it fits because you're not going to like how it fits. No one's going to get an Ironman suit. Be like, this fits great. It's going to suck. You're going to get frustrated. You're going to realize you just spent $10,000 on this thing because that's what I'm going to need to charge to make back up the labor that goes into this. And I'm barely going to make a profit. Now that's 2 to 3 months of that work when I could make a new helmet and video once a week. I made 2 Green Goblin helmets when I made this video and filmed it. I made 2. I sold 1. And paid for more than paid for all the material, time, labor, and I made a good profit off of it.
Yeah.
That sounds better than making a suit that no, it's not worth the headache. That's why I sell a lot of raw kits on Etsy. I don't sell a lot of finished helmets. My Etsy's tertiary to my whole social media. YouTube's first, TikTok and Instagram and everything else are second, and they funnel into YouTube. And then my Etsy is third. If I make some extra helmets, I'll throw them up there. My Red Hood helmet just broke. I'm going to weld it, repair it, battle damage it, sell it, make a new one. That's what my Etsy's for. It lets me offload and fund this. It's not every day I get 10 plus Etsy messages. When are you going to restock? When are you going to do this? Where are these helmets? It's not what my Etsy's for. I could ghost, I could disappear, stop posting and just focus on Etsy. And I think I do pretty good on it. I don't want to do that though. I like teaching. I like making videos. So
what are your favorite type of videos to make?
Build videos. My showing how I built this goblin. I'm actually going to be filming parts of this, finishing up this goblin build video today. My favorite are explaining things I've learned and also peppering in mistakes I've made. And I think that's why I've gotten some good reception across social media. It's like, hey, I made this Ironman suit. Here's 10 videos of how I really dicked it up the whole time. Like, because you get those videos like, hey, look at this cool thing I made. And yeah, this is how I did it. I 3D printed it, I painted it, wired it up, and now we're done. It's like, you're missing some steps here, dude. And I've always wanted to be honest with people about that. Like, no, I went through so many cans of spray paint trying to find a color. I still don't like how this fits. I broke my live stream last night was about how it broke wearing it at a Comic-Con. This stuff is going to happen. And to try to paint a picture that that's not the reality of it is just doing it's just doing people a disservice. And I know, unfortunately, I'm counterproductive to that because I do have a lot of videos out there, especially some like the viral TikToks that's like, hey, look at this cool print.
1.8 million followers on TikTok.
Yeah, it got out of hand real quick. And I wish, dude, getting them over to my YouTube is the bane of my existence. I hate it. You know how much I was just at the last GalaxyCon in Raleigh last weekend, and I got recognized as, aren't you that guy on TikTok? Way more times than I wanted to. And those are the quick passings.
Yep.
But it was weird. It was, I want to be the YouTuber, not the TikToker. Like, stop it.
There's more money in YouTube than there is TikTok. And, you know, a lot less Chinese company.
You said it. Debatable.
It is debatable.
I'm not talking about TikTok Creator Fund, garbage. Never use it. Yeah. Anybody who's listening to this, no, trash. There's a ripoff. They pull from a pool of money and you're fighting every other creator here. YouTube, you're not fighting every other creator. You're fighting yourself and your audience. But the sponsorship brands and deals I've gotten off TikTok because of that larger following, there's a reason I can start doing this full time now. And it's because of awesome. It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous that I could even say that out loud as a possibility. I'm so scared.
Oh, dude, you got this. I was touring a new school local to me, Tech High School, brand new, opening up. They have a diesel mechanic program, an auto mechanic program, a welding program, an electrician's program. Yeah, I'm pissed off too, and they will not accept adults to go back to high school. I'm very upset about this. But
I want to go back.
I was recognized by the engineering teacher. He's like, "You're the guy on the internet, right?" I said, "That is a very vague thing to say to somebody, but I'm fairly certain you're talking about a YouTube channel." It's like, "Yeah, you talk about 3D printing." I said, "Yep, that would be me." He's like, "We've got a bunch of people, you know, kids that have reached out because they want to start, like, they want to become social media influencers. Do you mind coming in and talk with them at some point about what it's been like?" I said, "As long as you're okay with me telling them it's one of the hardest things I've ever done and one of the most ridiculous amount of money that I've ever spent on something with no return yet, I'm happy to do that." He said, "Yeah, actually, that'd be great." I said, "Okay, cool." He said, "Because I'm kind of tired of like 14-year-olds thinking they're going to be the next big TikTok influencer for, you know, this brand when they're not getting a dime back."
It is such a different work and hard work that a lot of people.
Better term than influencer.
I don't like saying influencer. I'll say content creator or YouTuber, depending on who I'm talking to. I don't like influencer. I'm not here to influence anybody. I'm here to provide information, to create content and give you out the information I've learned. That has been the whole point of my channel, is this is everything I've learned, good and bad. This is what works. This is what didn't. This is what I've changed my mind on. Here it is. Like that's it. And if I can make money off of doing that to sustain my lifestyle, great. Like I will tell anybody, I am happy where I'm at. I like my house. I have a mortgage, not a mansion. I'm comfortable. If I can do this for the next 20, 30 years and maintain what we have, dude, I'm set. I'm not trying to have a Lamborghini. I'm not trying to live in a private island. You know, like that's some people's aspirations. I have gotten to a point right now in my life. I am happy. Like, I have a car I like. I have a wife I like. What more do you want? You know? I got dogs. I'm happy. I don't need anything bigger than this. So if YouTube can help me sustain that, and TikTok, and occasionally doing a Raid Shadow Legends deal, or you know, it was a funny TikTok. It was I'm never working with the company. I didn't work directly with Raid because it's always a third party company. I won't say that third party company's name, but they were the worst company I've ever worked with. They can rot in hell. Bye. HelloFresh was great. Skillshare has been great. Like those brands, those recurring ones, those are fun. Some deals with Marvel, you know, like I'm working on one with Marvel Entertainment right now, not Marvel Comics, not Marvel Entertainment. That one's kind of cool. And it's just fun. Like I'm having fun with this, man. And it's great. Like what a way to live, right? It's a pipe dream. And I feel like ignoring it would be a disservice to all the people who will never have this opportunity, you know?
Is your wife's name Kayla?
Yes. Yeah, she's in
Okay.
the chat.
Okay, she's okay. Yep. The comments like this might be his wife.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. That's always fun. But yes, it I kind of agree with you, right? I've had a 3D printing, I've had two different 3D printing businesses. This is 3D Musketeers, is the second one, and I got into YouTube just because like I made a video, real pissed off at Cricut for the kind of bullshit they pulled about a year and a half ago. And we
Is
got
that when they started charging people?
uh-huh.
You had to, I heard about this. I have a silhouette cameo, so I have vinyl cut. I have done it. Um, what happened with
They basically
summation?
turned your purchase into a lease.
Ah, gotcha.
And for
Makes sense.
car terms, and I had a problem with that, and we gained 250 subscribers in 24 hours as a 50 subscriber YouTube channel, and
That'll
I'm
do it.
not an idiot. I saw that as, oh, this is an obvious business opportunity. F it, we're going all in.
Let's do it.
And so we did it, and I had the awesome opportunity. I interviewed Sanjay Mortimer. I was actually one of the last people to ever interview him. Obviously he's no longer with us, and one of the greats that
Oh,
helped pioneer the amazing things in the 3D printing industry. And we recently got to help build, this is the small version. This is my piece to build the big one. They're building one that is life size or a little more than life size at East Coast Rep Festival. And this is my piece for it.
wow.
It was from We the Builders. And
That's
like
that's awesome.
Sanjay's mom reached out. She's like, I never got the unedited version. I said, oh my God, I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you. Because there was a lot of footage that we never showed, because the last video actually ended up coming out after he died. And so there were some things that we needed to edit in it because things obviously had
Yeah,
changed a
out of
little bit.
respect. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I would have never had a chance to talk with him if it wasn't for the channel. So I say, you know what? I've spent a lot of money doing this, but I've interviewed some pretty cool people. And I think that that's been worth every friggin' cent of it.
What has made all of this worth it to me? And I kind of talked about it last night too. Like, I'll get trolls, I'll get people, the loser, the nerd, the blah blah blah. Everything you'd imagine. You're a grown man dressing up in an Iron Man suit. Well, so is like every other actor, but cool. We
Yeah.
won't go there. It's only cool to play pretend when you're getting paid millions of dollars for it. Remember that, kids. If you're doing it for fun, you're a loser or you're a nerd, right? It doesn't make sense. I don't get where these people get these ideas from. It's stupid. It's toxic.
Do what makes you
Um,
happy and F the haters, man.
exactly. And what makes it all worth it and reminds me all the time, and like just at this last con, just some random little girl ran up to me while I was in the suit and was just like Iron Man, and I put the mask down. We took some pictures, and like it's there are few feelings like it. Like it is just so cool to be in that situation where you're like, this is kind of fun,
She
like
didn't know that you were frankly built. She didn't know that you have millions of this and that. All she saw
she
was
saw
Iron Man, and it made her
no,
day.
saw Iron Man. That was it. And
Yep.
then like her mom came up was like, she loves Iron Man. Oh my god, thank you so much. And because obviously the parents are there for completely different reasons. They're there because of the kids, or but like those interactions you get, like make cosplay. Like if anybody's listening and on the fence about going into college, like I don't know, I don't know if I'll look okay, or what if people don't care if you can pull. There's a 5 foot rule of cosplay. Like if it looks good from like 5 feet away, you're solid. Like just have fun with it. There's so many people out there who appreciate that type of work, and it is so heartwarming. I signed some kids. He brought in a faceplate from an Ironman mask. I signed that. Dude was not expecting that. I tried to sign into my glove, and I'm like trying to grip it with this plastic glove. Like I don't know, man. Like it makes it all so worth it. Like just to have a platform like this and be able to help people. The amount of people who came up to me, that was weird. That I got recognized at WonderCon. I probably had 50 plus people at GalaxyCon recognize me, which is amazing to like just talk to them about like, oh, I got into 3D printing because of you. And like I'd ask them like, what are they making? And they were almost like taken back that like I stopped and talked to them. It's a weird space to be in. And I never know what to do with my hands. I'll stand there and be like, that's awesome. Nice to meet you.
It is. I don't know if I've met like big fans. I've met people that have recognized me, but not often. I'm only just a hair under 6,000 subscribers. We are very tiny when it comes to the content creators in the 3D printing industry. But I've seen how like how the work that I've done prior to YouTube has changed people's lives. Like we delivered a custom part that we made for a client, and they were in a hurry, so they just was literally like they came to my house to pick it up. I handed it through their window, and they started driving off, and then they slammed the brakes on their car and they back up. I'm like, oh shit, here we go. What's wrong? They get out of the car and they're crying. It was an inventor. Um, they never thought that they would ever hold this product in their hands. It was always been an idea for them. It was always a dream, and we made that happen. And they were so emotionally taken by it, they had to back up and come give me a hug. And it makes a lot of
That's
the
amazing.
BS, the late nights, the many phone calls and Zoom calls. It makes it all worth it. And so I'm glad that's why you do it. You know,
It's the messages I'll get on Instagram, and I screenshot a lot of them. It's not something I would ever share on social media because like it's not.
they're good to look
But
at when the
like
imposter syndrome kicks in, right?
I live with it, dude. Oh my god. Um, I'm okay. I don't want this to come off as pretentious at all. Um, I'm still waiting for the YouTube video to pop up from some other channel. It's like, frankly, built a fraud, and I have proof. Like I'm waiting. Part of me is waiting to get that DM on Instagram, be like, yo, man, this dude made a video about you, and he got you like, it has a picture of your butt in it.
I mean, I
Like
can
I'm
change the
like,
title of this if you want.
frankly, we always joke around. It's like it's gonna be called "Frankly Exposed." Like me and the other Iron Idiots, my friends and stuff.
Damn
But
it, that's a good title
like
for this podcast
it's
episode.
very frankly exposed. Exposing the lies of um here's one. I'll give you one juicy tip to make. If you do change the title, it'll be true. It's something I only think one other person knows. And here we're gonna get. I blew up on Reddit when I posted my Ironman suit. It was all primered white and it was on the armor stand. And that was what blew my YouTube channel up. Like got the first big spike, like over thousands of subscribers because Reddit had taken off. My thing got upvoted, 20,000 upvotes on Reddit, took off that day because it was double. It was double Karma Day.
You got ultra lucky.
I
Hey,
had no idea. I had no idea. I was just posting on Reddit because I liked posting on Reddit. It was either on 3D
abusing
printing cosplay
Reddit's karma system with Frankly Built. Got it.
abuse. That was it. That is, and it attests to yes, you can put on a lot of time and effort and hard work, and you will see results. But sometimes there is a semblance of luck you cannot account for. And that is what started it. I had posted my suit on the right day. It was like a double karma day. People wanted to upvote things they liked because they were also getting rewarded for it. Blew it up to the front page. And 3 years later, we're here.
Was that dumb luck, or were you waiting for a day like that to post it?
I didn't know those days existed.
It
I
was
didn't
pure
know
dumb
till
luck. That's
weeks.
so
I
great.
didn't know till weeks later that double karma day was a thing. I
I
had no
never knew
friggin'
it was.
idea.
And I'm on Reddit all
Yeah,
the damn time.
yeah, didn't know. It was some event they were running. I don't remember why, but you can probably go back to when I posted. I can probably go back on Reddit, see the day I posted, and track it with like this is the day they ran it, and it pushed everything up. Like sometimes it's luck of the draw, and you either run with it or you fumble the ball. I mean that's
Yep.
that's really that's really it.
I do have to agree with you that the 3D printing subreddit specifically has gone downhill. I was one of the original people in it.
It's not great.
Back when Ubermeisters and some of the original people, Chris is his real name, but were mods, and everybody has since left. There's only one original mod left, and they kind of took power. They removed Billy Rubin. There have been some issues with intellectual property there. And it has not turned out great. I don't spend a lot of time there. I do spend more time in the Fix My Print subreddit, but that's just because I use it to find fails for our videos. But yeah, Reddit and Facebook has kind of gone downhill. Spent a lot of time on Twitter, but Discord has kind of been where I hang out, and
That's fair.
it's been a lot of fun to meet new people that way. Like I routinely talk with Wexter and Fotis Mint and DSK001 and at the 3D printing on Reddit or on Twitter, whose name is Fred. And these are all people that are amazing artists. They're so good at what they do, and yet we just kind of hang out like we've been best buds for years. I've never met any of them in my life.
That's
and it's so cool.
that's how I don't know if you're familiar with the other three Iron Idiots, the other cosplayers I roll around with, the other Iron Man suits. Yeah. That's how I met Danny, Kiara, and Emily, because we just started connecting online, and we all had Iron Man suits, and eventually Emily and her husband, who live only a few hours away from me over here, came up. We finally met them. Finally met Danny. He flew over. Emily came back up, and then we all met over at in California for WonderCon. That was the first time and we've been friends for like over a year before we'd even met, and it all came together through 3D printing and us wanting to be weird people who made Iron Man suits. So, like, your people are out there, and the internet lets you find them. It's great. Yeah, I adore all three of them. They're awesome.
How do you ship one of those suits?
You fly. Oh, hi, Maya. Hey.
Well, there's a dog.
Little Doge.
Special guest. And it's a Doge? All right.
It is literally a Doge. She is the Doge. In pieces, it fits in. I can get, now that my suit's battle damaged and I don't have to pack it as carefully anymore, I can fit it in 2 suitcases.
Okay. That's not bad.
I've also had the added benefit of, since I'm active duty military, I'm allowed 5 free checked bags on airlines through United, Delta, and American. So that helps a lot. Or else it would be $400 every time I took the 3 to 4 suitcases I'll usually bring. But like when I'm really trying to crunch down to it, I can get that into 2 suitcases, and I put all my clothes in it. You pack inside the suit and you make space, basically. And never been stopped by TSA, even though there's a lot of wires and stuff and batteries in it. So that's been great. I think TSA pre-check helps, being military. I don't know, maybe that pops up somewhere. But part of me, almost a little part of me, kind of wants to be stopped one day and then ask, like, what is this? And just show them like an Instagram picture, but like, I have an Iron Man suit. Like, I want to waste their time just a little bit.
Sir, we're gonna need you to come over here, and we're gonna need to do a search.
What is all this? What's and just pull out like a picture of my Iron Man suit, be like, that's me. And they'll be like, yeah, you nerd, and let me go.
Or you find the one person that's like, well, we're gonna have to learn how to make these, so we're gonna have to go in the back and talk.
They pull me back. Can you put it on real quick? Because we want to send you through the metal detector. This would be a really funny TikTok.
Yep. Chris Mink says, you didn't need Reddit to propel you. I think that you would have been here even without Reddit. Just an awesome creator, and your work shows it. And I have to agree. Now, Reddit absolutely helped. You know, that was the nitrous oxide in the motor, if you will.
That was the boost. That was the catalyst of.
Yeah.
I do think I would have gotten here eventually, just because I like doing it. I like this stuff, you know. But no, Reddit helped. It needed, the steps needed to happen in that order, because coming up this October, that's 10 years in the military, I needed to make a choice. Do I re-enlist for another 4 years? If I re-enlist for another 4 years, I'm going to do the whole 20. There would be no point not to.
Right.
But I can separate active duty at 10. Is this viable? I know my wife never thought this. I never thought this would be viable. I know she didn't. Like, you know, hey, we just bought a house, we have a mortgage. What about healthcare? Well, she was finally able to get, from moving back overseas, she got a good job. But if I stay reserves, I can keep healthcare and medical benefits. So a lot of choices had to be made. And this is in a spot now where it's like, no, this can pay the bills. You know, that's all I want.
Have fun if you ever have to go buy a house or a car, when they ask you how you make your money and you say, I'm a YouTuber, and they're going to look at you like you're an absolute idiot.
I am glad I was able to avoid. I was still bought the house last year, so I was able. But I am slightly looking forward to being able to claim that as my actual profession. When I meet people, have to go talk to people, make pitches, like meet people probably in the town, because I'm be living here. I've got to make friends and meet people. But like, oh, what do you do for a job? Oh, I'm a YouTuber, and not like I have to say that without kind of chuckling a little bit. You know, like it's serious. Seriously, I take serious. You know.
And then they can say, oh, yeah, you probably have like, what, 200 subscribers? Like, a little more than that.
Something. 5,000. What?
Yeah. You're 534,000 now, right, on YouTube?
It's, that live stream and then my last video. My analytics weren't great there for a little bit. And that last video is not doing great, but also I wanted to make that video because I wanted to get that information out. I had somebody comment on that video about like, oh wow, almost 1% of your followers watch this video, and I'm like, cool, okay.
Is that a dig or is that a compliment? I don't know what they were going for then.
Oh, it was a dig. I know who
Okay.
left the comment. It was a dig. It was a wow, like wow, almost 1%. Yeah, that's what so far. I mean, it's almost at 6,000 views. That's 6,000 people. Put 1,000 people in the room.
No, don't do that.
Corridor, no, corridor digital. Nico Peringer. He laid it out the best way imaginable I've ever heard anybody lay it out.
Great channel.
He said, I love that channel.
Yeah.
I hope to meet them one day. And he said, you know, you'll start to fall into that trap of, I'm pretty sure it was Nico. You'll fall into that trap of, oh, well, my last video got 10,000, 14,000, 50,000, but then your next video doesn't perform as well. Oh no. I said, oh no, panic. Well, now I got to release something else.
Thumbnail, new title, something.
Yeah, figure it out. But he's like, don't come off as unappreciative of that, because a lot of people do. Wow, that video tanked. No, I don't. It's not performing as well as my others. That's how I try to frame it. It's not doing as good as my other ones. That's fine. Doesn't mean it's doing bad. It's just not performing like the other ones did. This is installing lights into an Ironman suit. It's kind of a niche thing. Not many people are searching that. I get that. So now he said, all right, you get 100 views. Now imagine standing in a room with those 100 people and having to say thank you to them for watching that video. Now do that to 1,000 people. Do that to 5,000 people. You can't actually imagine that. Like you can't quantify that. I think he said it was because he had to, after like his bar mitzvah or something like that, he had a party or something. He had to write thank you notes to the people who attended. And it was like 100 people. And he's like, oh my God, like think about writing a thank you note to that many people. And then when you get 10,000 views, then you get 100,000 views. Don't be unappreciative of those views you get, because that's 6,000, 5,000, 6,000 people who watched that video and might have learned something from it. And that's why I made the video. I didn't make the video to get 100,000 views.
Yeah.
I made the video to teach people how to put lights in a friggin' Ironman suit.
If we made videos to get 100,000 views, we'd call ourselves Mr. Beast. And that would be a terrible video for him. But, you know, it's, you know, he makes videos that are designed purposefully to get views. We would call ourselves Mark Rober. And whoever Mark Rober's editor is honestly deserves an Emmy. You know, I think it's him, but
it's him.
I'm not certain.
He has YouTube by the balls. He has, oh my God. But YouTube
and
also
stuff made
knows.
here. Guy came out of friggin' nowhere. Nowhere. Now he knows his shit. Used to work for Formlabs. He was effectively responsible for most of the support algorithm inside of Preform. And if you've ever tried Preform, you'll realize how good its support algorithm is. Try to work with Formlabs, dude. That'd be a really cool collab for you. Joel just got it. You're cool enough.
Formlabs is, I believe, right in Raleigh, North Carolina, which I'm half an hour from.
They have a SLS printer that you should definitely get one, or at least look, you know, do a video with it to make Ironman parts out of, because that's nylon, baby. Those are.
I need a good pitch for them. I don't want to just message them and start the chat about, hey, we should work. I want to go to them with a project idea, because I would love to have some type of long-term.
You know who else?
Because I like us.
Right? You know, there's another big creator near you.
There's two. Mr. Beast and Film Theory.
Missing another one.
Who?
Filament Stories, Courtney.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
And she is awesome. I hang out with her all the time. We're always talking on Discord. She comes on to some Friday night hangouts that we're a part of. And
well, I'm glad I already follow you, miss. The more you know.
The more.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
I will. Okay.
And she is awesome, by the way. I have never met a creator.
That's a lot to live. Courtney, right? Yeah. You have a lot to live up to now.
600 rolls of filament? Because if not, you're about to be real jealous of her filament collection.
Does she have TikTok?
Yeah.
I think I think I know exactly who you're talking about. I have trouble connecting to people's socials sometimes. But like I'll see videos on TikTok and I'll be like, oh, that's cool. Yeah. Yep, her. Gotcha. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yep. Testing out all these colors, all the stacks on the back. I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yep.
That's awesome. I had no idea.
Yeah, there's a lot of
We
cool content creators around us all.
we uh we need to talk, miss. I didn't know you were that close. We
The
mhm.
close one to me for 3D printing is Danny, the 3D printing DM. He's about 35 to 40 minutes south of me.
Okay.
And we were going to get together to do a idiot versus pro series, starting with painting, because I'm really bad at it, and it would just be hilarious to be, I'm the idiot, he's the pro, and maybe we give him really crappy gear, and I get all the nice stuff, and we see where's the line, right?
That is absolutely a series I also have been thinking about doing. I would love, I thought about a video like teaching my mom to 3D print. Like she is from a different, different era, different time, like I think it'd be funny to like try to walk her through, like see if she can build like an Ender 3 and I kind of in the background kind of helping her, like, or get like somebody who's never done cosplay or anything like that. Like, all right, we're gonna build a printer with this dude, just this random guy or one of my friends who has no his end goal is to make an Ironman helmet, and we're gonna get him to try to get the quality that I get out of it. All of that. And he'll lead the thing to, and this will maybe reveal what things have I forgot to mention. Like, hey man, just level the bed. What's that? Like,
How do you level a bed? Well, okay, there's many, many different ways to do that.
here we go. But like maybe I can in that video show him the quick and dirty. Here's a sticky note, boom, done, move on. Like that's it. You don't need to do all of this stuff. It's printing good. Like a series of like, what's the bare minimum somebody would need to do to get to an Ironman helmet? Like, you don't need 10 printers. Here's one. You don't need 1,000 cans of spray paint. Here's 5. Like, what's the bare minimum stuff? And if we come out the ass end of that with like, so we got an Ender 3, we're left over with some spray paint, we have some wires, and now we have an Ironman helmet. That's it. Boom. I think that might be an entertaining series.
I
We'll
think
see.
it would be. I've thought about doing a cosplay series with the better three quarters because she actually knows what she's doing, and I have never cosplayed anything. And there is a
That
huge desire, and I've said it for years. I want to cosplay Nikola Tesla, sans inappropriate relationship with a pigeon. Um, but I love building Tesla coils, and I built a few, and I want to build a handheld one
gotcha.
because that's just dope and a really cool reason to be able to write off the cost of building a Tesla coil.
See, that's something I am very excited about now going into this. I established an LLC. I have a lot. It's all business expenses. It's
Yep.
all gotta frame it the right way, and excited about that.
Oh yeah, it's marketing and advertising, which is 100% tax deductible.
Yeah.
It has been interesting. But I mean, my business always like cost of goods sold are also tax deductible, so it kind of,
Yeah.
works that way. Next is asking, are there any rules for the chat besides the obvious one, language? If you're talking about the
Uh,
actual live chat, you can't put links in there because people abused that back in the day. Otherwise, no. If you're talking about Frank and I, nope, no rules whatsoever. We can say whatever the hell we want. And
there's no rules.
there is no editing. We do it live. And when the internet was a little rough earlier, we lost a lot of frames. But hey, that's the way it goes sometimes. What would be some tips for beginners, people that want to start doing cosplay? How should they, because it is, like, from someone who wants to start doing it, it is overwhelming as hell. How do I just friggin' start?
Pick a destination and get there. Like
That's the hard
it is.
part.
It's overwhelming, but start small.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do exactly what I friggin' did. Buy a 3D printer and try to make a goddamn Iron Man suit right off the bat. Do not recommend. Um, uh, Make an Iron Man helmet. Make a Green Goblin helmet. Make a Mandalorian helmet. I think Mandalorian cosplay is the best cosplay to start with because it teaches you a little bit of everything. If the parts are a little bit too big, that's fine. It doesn't have to be as tight fit as an Iron Man.
Yeah, because it's not a full suit. It's just small
Exactly.
pieces of
You're
armor with clothing.
making some gauntlet parts. You're going to learn to sand, do a little bit of painting. If you want the whistling birds, they'll light up a little bit. Cool. Visor, mask. You're working with some plastics. You're working with some tints. You're working with fabric. So it gets buckles and straps. It's like the perfect blend of printing, practical, fabric. It's everything. So I think starting with like Mando or Star Wars based armor, like Boba, perfect. But just start small. There's no The biggest mistake I think people make, the absolute biggest, and I have made this mistake too. No, there's no time limit. There's nobody telling you, there's nobody holding a gun to your head, finish this Iron Man suit in a year or the kids get it. Like, no, like any timeline you put on it is unless it's a paid deal, like a brand deal. But
then you have
like if it's,
obligations.
yeah, those are different. You know, con crunches, people who freak out like, oh, I need to get the suit done by the con. Why? There's another con. There's always another con. There's always another event. There's always like,
we did say
wait
that in
till next.
2019 and then 2020 happened, but we're going to ignore that.
Okay. I don't want to say this. I don't want to say this the wrong way. COVID saved me from making an absolute ass out of myself because in 2019 to 2020, I wanted to debut my suit at MCM Comic Con in London. And I was rushing. It was in May. I was going. Well, February 2020, the world shut down.
Yep.
And that gave me more time to work on the suit. And I still didn't make it. By May, there would have been no damn way my suit would have been wearable and usable. I didn't wear it comfortably until October, and I still had problems with it. So COVID kind of saved me from that catastrophe. But there's no deadline. There's no these imaginary, I need to finish. No, you don't. Take your time. Stop. Take your time. Just because you saw me finish my suit in X amount of time doesn't mean you're going to like, you're comparing your time and your goals and your deadlines to other people's work and their own work and deadlines.
Set realistic deadlines though, right? Because, and I don't know if you deal with this. I do, and I know a lot of makers do. I can paint with a pretty broad brush and say that the vast majority of makers suffer pretty heavily from ADHD and the shiny object syndrome, where, okay, this is cool, but 4 weeks later, it's like, oh, I have to do all this extra work. I'll do it later. And if you ever tell yourself you're going to do it later, stop and immediately start working on it again, because you're never going to pick it up.
2 Gundam helmets, 2 Keyblades, another Monster Hunter sword, Aloy's spear, and about 10 other helmets that are just kind of shelved. I actually started selling projects I know I'm not going to finish because they also induce a little bit of anxiety.
Oh my God,
of like, I need to finish. So I recently sold a lot of unfinished helmets that mostly were for my Etsy. They were mostly just extra prints that I was like, all right, let me finish these and put them up. But that was stressing me and adding more like, you need to get this done. No, get rid of them. Get rid of them. There's no point in me making more Red Hood helmets for my Etsy or for videos because I already made one. I already have a video on it. So I don't usually remake stuff because I'd rather put that time into a new project. So there's a lot of tips I could give on it. Just take it slow and just don't put that stress on yourself. Pick something. Hey, you know what? I want to get a 3D printing. Let me try to make a Green Goblin helmet. You know, like that's a good goal. You know, it's gonna come out like ass. It's gonna look terrible. My first helmets are terrible. I still have my first Keyblade. It's awful. Like,
have you ever done a video comparing your old work to your new work?
Nope. And that's why I have a second Keyblade printed. It's in the closet. Still need to finish that too.
That would be a really cool video to show how you've grown in some of the tips.
I'm trying to remember who has one of my oldest helmets. Actually, I am still in touch with him. He is in England. He bought my first battle damaged helmet that I sold. He was the reason I got into battle damaging my helmet because he had asked for a Mark 85 helmet. He said, can you battle damage it up a little bit? I'm like, I don't know. I've never tried. So he gave me a little deposit. I'm like, can you just pay me for like the material? And he's like, yep, did it. Never looked back. And now I have a pretty good, I don't want to say staple on how like the Mark 85 battle damaged helmets look, but I have a nice corner of that. And it was just, I just tried it, you know, it was fun. And what are you going to mess up? It's battle damage. Oh no.
And then how did you end up deciding to go into being the content creator at the same time, right? Because it is one thing just to build the gear, right? That is so much work on its own, but now you're having to think about the shots you make, then the editing, and then all of that. How did you end up saying, well, I guess I should do this too?
If you go back to my first 100 videos, you'll quickly see that the shots and the lighting and the focus were definitely not thoughts. It was grab this GoPro and record my anything, which I think does speak to you. People always hear it. It's like, you don't need thousands of dollars of camera equipment and the best lighting and the best editing software to make a YouTube channel. You need a phone or a GoPro. Like if the content is there, people will watch it, and then you make the content better by getting those things. But it doesn't. There's no content there to begin with. It doesn't matter if I have a $2,000 camera. Hey guys, today I'm going to be talking about these nippers. They're cool. They cut things. Like and subscribe. No one's going to watch that. I can do it on a $10,000 camera. No one's going to watch that.
My main cameras are DJI Osmo Pockets. They cost $130 used on eBay. The camera I'm using right now, I spent less than $100 for on Facebook Marketplace. It's a Canon Vixia camcorder. What is that?
Oh, it's a new DJI.
Oh, fancy.
This is the whole camera.
Damn.
Isn't that it was $200 on Prime Day. And like it's 4K, 5K. Damn. And it has a little attachment, dual life battery. So
Magnetic.
Now you have now it's a front facing screen.
No,
and
shit.
It has a necklace you can put on. It has like $200.
I went with this one specifically because it's got the gimbal and I've got a bad back.
Those are awesome.
And at the time, I was using a cane. I'm getting better without the cane now, but printing or grabbing a $20 fourth axis means this thing will shoot perfectly smooth shots if I'm out walking. And it has the Wi-Fi built there. It's got a Wi-Fi base, so I can control it from my phone, which means I can put it on a tripod and move it around as I need.
I have a DJI Ronin gimbal for my main camera.
Yeah.
I can hook up my PlayStation 4 and 5 controllers to this. It is actually a feature in the DJI app to use a PlayStation controller, and you can spin it and maneuver it, which is just sick. I
bought a Zhuyin Weebill Lab from Reddit for $100. I have a Zivian Crane 1 if someone's looking to get one that I don't want anymore. But I haven't done much with the gimbal, so I don't have big DSLRs. I agree with you that you don't need to start with amazing stuff. Like my microphone is literally $70, and it's I have to sit away from it because otherwise the Latin in me comes out and I end up hitting it. But if you get right up on it, you get all of that full, rich, studio voice.
Is this good ASMR?
I don't know.
You're tuned into the podcast now. We're going to be looking at the weather.
It's raining outside right now. But it's Florida, so it'll be gone in 5 minutes.
So to answer your question, I've always liked doing tutorials. When I was making Gundam models in Japan, I would do tutorials on certain paint jobs. When I grew up working on cars, I was on car forums, and I liked taking pictures of how to take this apart, install the radio, change the wheels, do the customizing. So I liked always doing those tutorial forums. And then in high school, me and my buddy, he was my best friend. We had a gymnastics, parkour, karate YouTube channel. It's still up. And we ended up getting like 30,000 subscribers. And this was old YouTube. This was 2008, 2009.
30,000 subscribers was a lot of subscribers.
Yeah, it was something. And we just liked teaching. It was tutorials on how to do backflips and front flips and kicks and, run up walls and do parkour and stuff. And it was a lot of fun. And that got me comfortable talking to a camera. I'm talking to a camera. Cool. Awesome. And when I started getting into 3D printing, I had already had my YouTube channel up. It was a car YouTube channel I had made while I was in England. Now, obviously, that didn't work out. Those videos have since been private. I didn't delete them, though, because it's kind of funny to still have them there. And I made a video. It's my first 3D printing video. It should be the oldest video on the channel now, actually. And it was like, I got a 3D printer, built it. I'm going to make some weird stuff. And that was the whole video. And I started making the suit, talking about the project, and people started asking me questions like, hey, man, how'd you get the faceplate to do that? I don't really know, but here, let me try to explain it to you. How'd you paint it? The biggest thing that put a bad taste in my mouth about the 3D printing Reddit is when I shared my initial video on using a power sander. I used a dual orbital sander on an Ironman helmet. And there were a few people on there, especially a moderator or two, who freaked out at me. You can't do that. This is clickbait, misinformation, blah, blah, blah. The name of the video was how to smooth 3D prints. And somebody there took it. You're doing clickbait. Smoothing is when you use acetone on ABS. I didn't know that was a thing. I'm like, if I had a bumpy 3D print and I went to YouTube and I'm like, this is rough. how do I smooth it? Smooth is the word you would use. Like 3D printing didn't coin the word smooth for acetone smoothing. Like, shut up.
Some people are just bitchy.
Freaked out, dude. And a bunch of people defended me. They're like, dude, it's literally like, what a weird hill to die on. He he's using a power sander on a 3D print, making it smooth. Like, that's easy. But then it started experimenting because not many people had done that, because a lot of the talk in the community was PLA was too weak for power tools. But these were people who were used to the old PLA, not the 200-degree, better PLA. That stuff was fine for it. And so I just started playing around with that. Like I said, it's plastic coming from Gundam models. It's plastic. They stop being afraid of it. If you break it, print a new one,
Or bond it.
So, what PLA weld it, take a 3D pan, take a soldering iron, weld it back together. It's plastic.
Yep. And Bondo will hide everything. Ask all the old school mechanics.
Yep. And I just started answering people's questions. That's really where it came down to. It's like, hey man, how'd you attach the shoulders to the chest? Oh, here's a video about strapping and buckles. So staying engaged with my community and my followers and stuff, that helped me make new videos. Like, people don't believe me when I say I read every comment. Just because I don't heart react or comment back, I read every single comment on my YouTube, which a lot of people will say, never do that. It's like,
always
the people who say the people who say don't do that aren't engaged with your fan base.
Exactly.
I don't care who you are. You're engaging with the ones you want to engage with. You're engaging with the ones who build you up and hype you up. And oh, well, I talk to my fans. It's like, yeah, but you're not reading all your comments because there's a lot of other stuff going on, especially in a space where, this isn't a Mr. Beast channel where it's just, videos for the fun of it, which is fine. We're in a educational or teaching. I know my channel is listed as entertainment. Yours probably. Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm here to teach you something. So I need to know what you guys need to learn. I'll post on Facebook all the time asking about like, hey, like, what are you guys looking for? I'll go to 3D printing groups and see what kind of problems are having. My newest video literally is because this one guy on Facebook named Frank, actually, he's building a Mark 85, and he kept posting a lot of questions about attaching lights and how to glue them in and how to wire them. And other people were like, yeah, I've been trying to figure this out too. And I'm like, oh, this would be a good video. Guess what my newest video was about that. You have to stay engaged with your community, or your community leaves you behind and forgets about you.
That is absolutely correct. That is
that was a tangent.
Of mine. No, dude, that's perfect, right? A buddy of mine, his wife runs the YouTube channel, The Wads. It's a mommy vlog channel. They have 330,000 subscribers or so. They just bought a house with YouTube, and I've helped him out on his old house. We've talked a lot, and he said, the best advice that I can give you is you should be not only reading, but until it becomes too cumbersome for you, reply to every comment. Go to people that you like, that are within your market, that you enjoy their content. Go there on your company channel, like their videos, comment, reply to other people that you can help with, but don't steal the show, right?
Absolutely.
Be a part of that community, because when people see that, you all of a sudden garner trust. When people see that they can comment and you're going to reply to it, they do it. And then the algorithm, the almighty algorithm, sees it and says, oh, praise be. Praise be. Praise be.
Praise the algorithm.
Is like, oh, wait, those are interactions. Oh, we like interactions. And they're watching longer. We like that too.
That's why I also reply to trolls. And a lot of people also say not to do that.
That's fun sometimes.
Sometimes it's great. There's haters, and I don't usually try to engage with them, because there's people you can tell who are just being mean because they don't like you or they're jealous. And then there's just trolls. Yeah, there's just trolls. You're like, again, the virgin comment. It's like, man, it's 2022. Like, really? I'll get called like, oh, this is lame. You're gay. It's like, what if I was gay? So what? Like, that's you had infinite time to post an insult,
and that's all you came up with.
You went with gay? Like, that's not an insult anymore.
There are so many better things. There are so many better things to make fun of me for than that.
Yeah, and one time I went on a long thread with somebody. I'm like, man, you didn't even comment on my nose being big. I'm kind of short, maybe I gave him a whole list, and he's like, why are you being so like effing weird? I'm like, I'm being weird. You're the one calling me a virgin or gay for, liking something. And I'm like, who's weird? And it turned, I'm like, and then at the end, I'm like, man, thank you so much for the engagement. This really helps the algorithm. And a lot of them don't realize that, dude. They're just like, I'm a comment, I'm gonna get them.
That is not saying those that are watching to just go to our videos and troll us in the comments.
Please don't.
But comments
if
are
you
always
see
helpful.
If you see me responding to some trolls or something and having fun with it, it's A, because it's just fun. And B, it's engagement. It's like, why not? Okay. You took your time if you felt it was necessary. And the one thing you have to remember about the haters and trolls are a little bit different because sometimes they just like it for fun, but like real haters, nobody whose life is going good, nobody whose life is, I imagine, going like mine or yours, or having fun, or enjoying their life. Nobody in this position is finding time to browse YouTube or Reddit or Instagram and leave nasty comments. These are the people who are miserable in their life. They're sad, they're angry, they're jealous, they're confused. That's who's leaving these comments. Like, I'm not gonna get mad at these people for it. Like, that sucks, man. I'm sorry you're in that bad of a place of your life where you need to hop on my Ironman 3D printing video and call me a loser. Like, I'm the one with the sick Ironman suit, dude. You're the one with the bad opinion. Like, I don't care what you have to say.
Mental health is something that is not talked enough about in this industry, and how bad imposter syndrome can be, right? I had never reached out to you to be a guest. I said, there is not a snowball's chance in hell he wants to be a guest on this podcast. This guy's got 500,000 subs. I'm over here with, what a tenth of that, or no, 100th of that.
But why? Let me ask you, why does that? And that is why I always say yes to every podcast, because why does a number make me better than you?
I don't know. No.
It doesn't.
You do cooler work.
I have been on podcasts much smaller than yours. I'm talking teens of subscribers, because somebody reached out and asked, hey man, I'm doing a podcast for my school. I'm doing a podcast because I want to do a podcast, or like, you want to come on? Yeah. Okay. But I'm not that busy.
And it wasn't until you commented, someone tagged you, then you said you've been like low-key waiting for me to ask. I'm like, it feels weird, because it's like I'm asking someone who makes a fair bit of money with their time to spend at least an hour, we're over 2 now, talking with me. And it's always felt like, well, I can't afford to pay you. And it's literally just to talk about whatever we end up getting into. And it just always feels like your time has more value than to be on this podcast. And then we've talked, it's like, all right, yeah, F it, let's do it. Let's have some fun.
Two reasons I always say yes to podcasts and stuff. A, I get to meet people and talk, and like, what about subscriber count? Like, there's no, it's, if there's a conversation to be had or hang out and talk, like, yeah, dude, let's do it. The other reason is there could potentially be one person who watches this or sees this who is following you but has never heard of me, or maybe has heard of me or followed me or something, and they're like, you know what, man, let me go get in the 3D printer and start this. Like, it's an audience. It doesn't matter if I got one more subscriber out of it who now likes my channel and can now make this stuff because they want to, or if it's 1,000, like, why risk losing that or taking that away from somebody because I don't have the time for it? I don't know. I get where you're coming from. I totally do.
It's one of those like odd things. It is absolutely imposter syndrome, right? It's absolutely imposter syndrome. And
shoot your shot 2022.
Ask
that girl out, or that guy, or both. I don't know. I don't judge.
Or neither.
Or neither.
And I preach it. I'm like, you guys can ask people for help. I have a public email that goes directly into my inbox. The YouTube at 3D Musketeers does not go to anybody else in the company. It goes directly to me. And anybody that's emailed it knows that I reply, unless they're companies that are trying to honestly have me put dangerous shit on the channel. Unless it's cool dangerous, and then maybe I'll reply. But otherwise, I reply to everyone. And Allison is in here. Allison came from the cricket community. Where my metrics went from 98% dudes to 86% female overnight. And I'm like, oh shit, this is not the right audience. This is not going to last. And And she
My
emailed me the
metrics
other
are
day.
funny.
She just bought her first Prusa. And she printed out parts that I designed for her, and I might have even done it on a live stream, like over a year ago. And that shit is so freaking awesome. It's so cool to see that. It makes me so happy to know that, like, someone saw this as like, this guy's kind of cool. He's talking about stuff I like. Then I switched gears, and you were like, oh, I kind of like this stuff too. That's what this community is all about. That's why I do.
That's awesome. They just need a nexus. They just need a hug and to be told they matter. Yeah,
It's
you're
true.
right. Haters told.
Yeah.
How come you were in England and where? I'm U.S. Air Force. I was stationed there for 4 years, and I was near Cambridge. So hope that answers the question.
England.
Okay.
As Duff could say, someone could even say you made awesome. Yeah, that's why we call the podcast the Making Awesome Podcast. Episode 100, dude. Thank you. Seriously, this is a really cool way to top off 100 episodes. Weekly. I have not missed a week in 100 weeks.
That's amazing. Wow. Consistency is key.
It absolutely
all praise,
is.
All be the algorithm. All be.
It's not even that. It's been a personal thing. Because I know if I miss a week, I missed one, I can miss another one, and I'll never get back to it.
That's how it happens.
And I miss opportunities to talk to cool guys like you.
Well, thank you, man. I thank you so much for having me and reaching out and being a cool guy as well. So
totally. Are there any final thoughts?
Well, hopefully everybody watching this is already subscribed to Three Musketeers. So if you aren't,
sir.
hop on.
Thank you.
That's it. Thank you, man.
And go check out
Thank you so much.
Frank on all the socials. I linked his link tree. It is in the description. Go check out his TikTok, his Instagram, his YouTube. He's got affiliate links in there. Click on those. Give the guy some love. He is going to be a full-time creator in less than 2.5 months. It's technically just a hair over 2 months. Damn it. I had to adjust that as I was saying it, but
no,
that's
it's fine. 2 months. 2 months. We're in it. We're gonna do it.
Your life is going to be amazing. I am so excited for what happens when this is now your full-time gig and you can call yourself a professional YouTuber. Because when you get paid for it, it is now a profession.
I'm already a professional then.
Well, congratulations. Frank, again, thank you so much for your time. Do you know my outro?
Nope.
It's fine. No one ever has. Even my dad doesn't know it. Stay safe out there. Don't forget to call your loved ones. And as always, keep making awesome. Have a good one.